What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Ruckus
Yeah.
Wrastlin. Obviously, here with my tag team partner in this journey, Justin Toner. Justin, how are we feeling today?
Pretty good. So man, quite a few days of wrestling. We had Tuesday Night War last night. Um, Tony Khan going off on Twitter. There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. It's
Yeah,
gonna
a
be
lot,
fun.
lot to talk about. We'll jump right in, but just preface the whole thing by saying this: if arguably this is probably the best time ever to be a wrestling fan,
Really.
and if you're having an issue with what's going on and barking back and forth, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else to tell
Get
you
lost.
because this is just the fact that it kind of brought me back to those days of going back and forth
Yep.
between Nitro and Raw.
Yeah.
Those back in the 90s, the obviously the golden era, some would say, of wrestling. And this kind of had that little feel to it, just because of how much each brand put into their show, especially the NXT side, which I'll have my opinion on that of really who won this thing. Because might as well have an opinion, have a hot take. That's what these shows are all about.
Exactly.
So let's just kind of jump right in. You know what? I just want to jump into the NXT, AEW, and everything that's going on. Okay. So typically we'd save it for the end, but this is the hot topic. This is what it's all about. So Justin, kind of go over as far as news wise how those shows do.
So so because of Major League Baseball playoffs, Dynamite was moved to air on Tuesday this week on TBS, thus putting it head-to-head with NXT on USA, which had happened back when NXT was on Wednesdays, back during the Black and Gold era, and it got routinely beaten out most of the time by Dynamite, and again, eventually they moved it off of that and moved it to Tuesdays instead. So as a result, WWE was like, well, number one, our TV deals come up a year, and number two, this is a chance for us to really get eyes on the product. So they decided to load up a lot of the main roster heavyweight stars to come down to NXT to bring in the ratings. I mean, so, and things got testy. We had they announced that NXT was going to be without commercials for the first 30 minutes, and then Tony Khan came out and announced that he went to Warner TBS and got the same thing. And then he also got them to give them overrun time as well, because NXT usually goes into about 8 to 10 minute overrun anyway. So, and then reports about what the intentions here. Tony Khan got a little testy on Twitter, referring to Triple H and HBK as bald assholes. So that says all that needs to be said about how Tony felt about this whole situation. How serious that was, who knows? But he has gotten testy before about WWE trying to go do a little head-to-head competition, and as a result, for this round, WWE won in the ratings. The numbers came out late this afternoon. NXT had a total of just over 900,000 Nielsen viewers, 921,000, 0.30 in the 18 to 49 coveted demographic. AEW Dynamite had just over 600,000 Nielsen viewers, 609,000 exactly, and a 0.26 in the 18 to 49 demographic. So NXT did not just beat Dynamite head to head. It was not close. Now say what you will about it's like like we said, we get kind of tired of this whole WWE versus AEW crap. It's like if you love wrestling, it's like you're rooting for everyone to succeed, and so just like the wrestlers do. And it's like the wrestlers have commented on many times on who work for both companies that this kind of competition is good for everybody. So I'm not totally surprised. I'm a little surprised about the gap. I figured NXT would probably win, but it would be a lot closer, just because all the star power that WWE loaded onto the show, there's definitely going to be eyes on it. I mean, when you have like Cody Rhodes, John Cena, the Undertaker there, hanging out with Carmelo Hayes, and a bunch of other people were there too. Asuka, Paul Heyman, LA Knight even showed up. which he was not advertised, so that
cut off Baron Corbin mid promo, but that's whatever.
Yep. So, but as far as like the quality shows, it was a little more even. I wouldn't say like NXT was the better show. Both shows definitely had their pluses and minuses last night, so it's kind of to say like I'm not going to say like 8, 9. The NXT was better than Dynamite 1. It was you got to factor in the star power here, obviously having an influence, and also Dynamite not being on its regular night definitely also would hurt it as well. It's like because 600 is it. They're usually closer to around 1 million in viewership, so the dip definitely is the not being on their regular night and time factor as well. So, yeah, we'll get more into detail when we go over what happened on both shows and what thinking about like. But I thought both shows were quite entertaining last night, and so I think it's a win for just wrestling fans in general that this happened, and the fact that this many people on both sides. We're watching on a Tuesday night. We also got a lot of other stuff going on. It's like including sports playoffs and whatnot. I think this is a good thing, and I think I look forward to stuff like this happening a little more often if possible. But you never know. But
yeah. But I mean. I think it shows really as far as the Tuesday Night War and just kind of how the booking went. It just shows how much competition is a good thing. As Eric Bischoff's book, I always like the title of it, Controversy Creates Cash.
Yeah.
This controversy creates good wrestling as far as being a viewer, as far as them putting on this Tuesday night. Now, and I think it says more about how much respect WWE has for AEW's product, the fact that they went all out on this. So I mean, yes, they better have won the ratings, especially for what they were.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes and John Cena, and I mean, obviously the Undertaker was kind of hyped up. You thought he was going to be there, and then he was there. So and then they also still highlighted their talent. That's another thing that I like about this Triple, and we'll get into it with the show and why I like Triple H and Shawn Michaels and how they booked their stars, and why I think when I was telling you yesterday about watching a up and comer just squash a legend, that had something to do with what's going on in the wrestling world environment. And I think that's why certain booking decisions are happening, is because you actually see the right decisions being made for the up and coming stars right now. That about 5-6 years ago, they just leaned on 4 or 5 people, and then the other people were just there and waiting and catering. And we now have more spotlighted and more emphasis put on multiple segments, which is why we like the Attitude Era, because every segment we were tuned in, rather than just wait for that one segment and then we tune out. And that's kind of how it was for like the past, last 4 or 5 years that Vince was in charge. And now we've gotten what we've got yesterday. Last night is because you knew AEW, they're still brand new. They're only 4 years, and WWE's around for 40. So it's not like they know how to do it. And it just shows that we've got 2 solid products for the fact that how much WWE went all out. They can sit there and say that other brand doesn't exist. Bull crap. Whereas I think AEW, if you make a drinking game for how much they have WWE references, you'd be drunk midway through the show. So, it is what it is on that. But overall, like I said at the beginning of the show, such a great time to be a wrestling fan, and last night delivered. As far as wrestling, the cool thing about the technology now, you can go back and watch it. You don't have to worry about figuring out which VHS tape you're going to use to record the show.
Yeah,
what show are you going to?
God bless the technology of the DVR.
The DVR, and if you have the Peacock app, you can go back and watch NXT.
Yeah.
On that. So, kind of going through as far as the next big topic, CM Punk, will he? Won't he? Who knows? But right now, WWE says no.
No.
On that. And we were kind of talking about this before. It's like, does WWE really want this headache? Turns out they don't. And that's honestly right now, that's kind of what he is. It sucks.
Yeah.
I kind of, like I said before, he's like Anakin Skywalker. Like at first you're like, you're the chosen one. And then it just BS after BS. And sometimes you got to point yourself in the mirror because I don't know the man. I don't know him personally. Never met him. It'd be cool if I did. But one person says one thing, the other person says the total opposite of who he is. Obviously he sticks by his morals, and then if someone breaks that, it seems like that's it on that. So but but that's right. As of right now, the reports are that WWE was kind of teasing. They would say like his lines and stuff like that. I mean, Nakamura did the go to sleep.
It's like people have noticed that there was kind of like very subtle CM Punk references on WWE programming lately, making people wonder, what's going on. And there's been a lot of reports like they were talking. Other people say they're not talking. I think the most reliable one at this point is sources is telling him that right now there's nothing going on.
No.
And that makes sense because the past history, and also they also have to be concerned about how Punk exited AEW. It's like that whole thing. It's like, is that something like that going to happen again? It's like, can he be able to get along with people and stuff like that? And and it's nobody's in a situation where it's like they're not like in desperate need of CM Punk at this point. They got people, they got stars right now, people that people are rooting for. Cody, LA Knight. It's like Seth Rollins. Got top heels. Of course, Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. So they got the star power. People are tuning in. People. It's like people are watching the pay-per-views and going to the shows, and attendance is doing very well for them. So it's not like they're like it's back and forth, and like back in late 90s where it's like there's it's like, oh man, we've been losing the ratings all these weeks. It's like we gotta do something to make a splash. It's like they don't need to make a splash right now because they're doing fine. So but never say never. I will not be surprised if he does return because that's like the way wrestling works.
It's like did the WWE need Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan when they brought in the NWO? Not really, but it was still awesome at the time. Even though looking back at it, really wasn't the best thing. But as a kid, you were just like, "Woo, NWO and WWE, The Rock, Stone Cold." So I understand, never say never about it. But Survivor Series is in Chicago.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we shall see, and who knows? Maybe people are kind of like putting up smoke screens because they don't want people to get the dirt that he is going to come back. So it'll be a gigantic surprise out of like nowhere. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll see. I know, like I said, I already voiced mine, but just kind of your opinion on this thing. Do you think it's right now? We won't see
right now. I'm leaning toward that they're not talking right now.
Okay.
No, there's nothing going on. It's like I think that's what's most likely is most likely true at this point.
Gotcha. Another thing that we've been talking about, and it just keeps heating up, and another reason why I think one of the results that happened on Collision happened is Ricky Starks. Basically, I think it's a foregone conclusion. As soon as his contract up, he's going because of his relationship he has with Cody. And I've always wanted to see Ricky in WWE. He just seems like his how he is.
He would fit in very well.
Would be perfect for WWE.
Just like everyone's saying, like Jade going to WWE was a smart move for her because of how she is going to work. She's going to do very well in WWE, and at the same time, she's going to be improving her in-ring skills at the same time, because most of just about everything else that she has is like just tailor-made for WWE and how they present their product. So, but yeah, I think Ricky could do very well in WWE if given the right opportunity and push. Yeah, because I've complained in the past about like why does this guy have any title belts on his? Well, that's changed, and it's like we'll go into more detail when we get to Collision. But so it's yeah, that's why I'm like, it's like we don't know exactly when Ricky's contract is going to expire. It's probably like around springtime is what people are speculating, but there's no concrete. The only one that's been more concrete and open about when their contract is up has been MJF. It's like,
yeah, but that's at this point, I just don't see him going anywhere. But
I'd be really shocked if he decided to jump ship after what he's been doing.
The run that he's had the past year and a half, especially once he got with Adam Cole, because it did kind of seem like it kind of fell off a little bit. It was just kind of like he comes out and be like, "I'm awesome on the mic." He's still entertaining, but then once he got with Adam Cole and this face turn and just how it's done, even last night.
He's so over.
He's so over
right now. Tony cannot afford to lose him. Losing Jade was unfortunate for him, but that wasn't.
He wasn't booking her worth of crap anyway. He was booking Tony Storm and Saraya and
exactly. So like he would like to have kept Jade, but it's like that wasn't like oh damn, what are they gonna do without her kind of situation. It was more like, oh well, okay, yeah. But losing MGF would be very bad this point. It's like he's one of the most over guys they got. Yeah, because like his title reign started out kind of lackluster, but the last couple months with the whole storyline between him and Adam Cole, and then leading him and Cole leading him to turn face, which I didn't think I'd ever see in AEW, and it's worked. It's like he's still. It's like he's kind of like he's more like the anti-hero kind of face, because he still likes cheat to win Eddie Guerrero style, but the fans love him, and he's acknowledged that he's enjoying being especially like his promo against Jay White last night on Dynamite. It's like he's made it clear that he likes himself. He likes what he sees in the mirror when he wakes up right now, with where things are for himself compared to where he was in the past. So that says a lot about his character.
He's like you said, he's a perfect anti-hero right now, because he still calls him he's still the people's scumbag, which I thought
like I'm their scumbag.
Yeah, I'm their scumbag, and like the devil's here. People's like, woo! I'm like, yeah. Those two things are supposed to be heel based, but whatever, he makes it work. But yes, I think at the end of 2024. MJF, I don't know if it'll probably get out, but I think MJF will be the highest paid, be the biggest contract you've ever seen for a wrestler as far as money wise.
Tony's really going to shell out the money. Tony really cannot afford to lose him.
Not as far as money wise, and it'd be like a Hulk Hogan when he went to WCW type of thing, but he was kind of already pissed at McMahon at the time anyway. But I'm just going to, as far as just for inflation, but highest paid contract. Now that being said, I don't think he's going to be have creative and all the other stuff that had it in Hogan's contract.
Yeah.
On that, but I just think he's at that point where I think he's
got. I got to use my stroke, brother.
Right. Yeah. Just
I don't think I'm gonna be doing the job tonight, brother.
Yeah. Watch my neck, Undertaker. Yes. Whatever. Anyway. Moving on. Last thing we got here before we move into our recaps. The Iron Claw trailer dropped, the A24 film about the Von Erich. The infamous and famous, how you want to paint it, and tragic. They're like a Shakespearean family. They're literally. But the Von Erichs, famous for, they're out of Texas, right? I'm gonna bounce some history, and then you fill in the gaps.
World Class Championship Wrestling, which was the biggest promotion, territorial promotion in Texas in the 70s and into the 80s. Before it eventually before it folded in the late 80s. Yeah, like if you are a student of pro wrestling history, like people like me, I didn't watch that stuff I was too young, and it wasn't like broadcast over here, but I've heard about the Van Erich family, and I also am very familiar. If you grew up watching WWF in the late 80s and the early 90s like me, Kerry Von Erich, who was the Texas Tornado. He spent some time in WWE near the near the end of his life, before he tragically committed suicide.
Spoiler alert, but yes.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, it's very tragic what happened to the Von Erich family. Like I like that the trailer is focusing on. It looks like the movie's focusing around Kevin Von Erich, played by Zac Efron, which is understandable because Kevin, spoiler alert, is the only one of the sons who lived past the age of like 35 into their 30s. Most of them died in their 20s or in their early 30s.
According to Wikipedia, I think he's like 66, 67 now.
Yep. He's still alive and kicking. Still happily married to his wife, who will be played by Lily James in the movie. He's had a couple children and lots of grandchildren, and his sons are also wrestlers. They work more on the independent scene. They have worked on Impact, but they've never been sniffed by AEW or WWE yet.
And then Kerry right? Kerry Von Erich Lacey is his daughter, correct? Lacey Von Erich.
I think so. I'd have to check.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's like a lot of Fritz Von Erich, who's the patriarch of the family. His children died tragically through various different reasons and means, and they even talk about it, like right in the trailer, like some say our family's cursed. So, it's like, and that kind of started even before like the major deaths happened, because like one of their brothers died when he was only like a couple years old in some freak accident.
Yeah, something in Niagara Falls is what I read.
Yeah. So it's like people are already kind of wondering, and then it's like just one after the other over within a couple year period. It just started dropping like flies. It was just it's very terrible, but I'm looking forward to the movie because it's cool. It'll be cool for people, maybe wrestling fans who are not familiar with that part of wrestling history, to see that stuff, because I've seen the footage. I've read about it. The Von Erichs had a legendary feud with the Fabulous Freebirds in World Class. And you see clips in the trailer of them fighting the Freebirds. The guys they got to look like the guys that they got cast to look like the Freebirds are spot on, man. Props to them. Also, Ric Flair spent time in World Class as well. So it's like, and you saw briefly a guy, Ric Flair, in the trailer.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were like, "Hey, here's Ric Flair." I mean, I knew he was there. He would just that was back when he was kind of hopping around promotions and through NWA, right?
Yeah, and you also there are some real life wrestling connections to this movie. MJF, who we were just talking about earlier, as a role in the movie.
When we were talking about MJF, he really put that up there. I'm like, well, speaking of MJF in Hollywood,
that's a good question.
He plays Lance Von Erich, which is technically not a Von Erich. He would just wrestling wise.
He plays a Von Erich who wasn't really a Von Erich. It's like. He was called Lance Von Erich, but he was not actually a Von Erich. They just gave him the name and said that, oh yeah, he's a cousin and stuff. Which happens a lot in wrestling, where they're like, people say that they're related to each other when they're really not.
Right. and the reason he was a Von Erich is because he was trained by the dad.
Yeah, he was.
And it's kind of like the Stu Hart type of thing. It's like, even though they ended up marrying into the Hart family, if you were trained by Stu, you could have been part of the Hart Foundation type of thing.
Yeah.
Also, those wrestlers end up marrying into the Hart family.
Yeah. Also, another well-known wrestler, Chavo Guerrero Jr. is going to be in the movie. He's going to be portraying the original Sheik, which is kind of cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that casting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this movie's got some star power. I mean, you got Zac Efron as Kevin. Jeremy Allen White of the Bear is Carrie. Maura Tierney is their mother, Doris Von Erich. It's like always like to see her. I've been a fan of hers all since back watching news radio back in the 90s. She's really good. And another character actor I like is Holt McCallany is playing Fritz von Erich. He's
that
awesome.
Was excellent casting.
If you ever saw if you ever watched the series Mindhunter on Netflix, he was one of the FBI agents on that show. He's very underrated character actor, really cool guy.
Yeah. And if you look up any documentary stuff on the Von Erich family, and you see the dad, that is what the dad looked like. Excellent casting,
he looks a lot
great
like
actor. He's gonna freaking kill it. But I was like, wow, they got really spot on. Now, obviously, Zac Efron. Not everyone's gonna look like Zac Efron, but I mean, but the Von Erichs did have those crazy. Their jaws were just metal. Like it was crazy what their jaws were, and Zac Efron has that jawline. So
yeah, and actually, Chavo apparently was also like a wrestling. Probably MGF and Chavo probably had a lot of input about how to portray the wrestling and help people with the wrestling aspect of the stuff, which makes sense. Especially Chavo, who's a really good trainer and teacher. So I think the wrestling sequence is probably going to look great with those guys involved. So it's a sad story, but a story that needs to be told, and despite all that, the family was, they came out and survived. It's like, they've, it's like Kevin and his family and his children and his grandchildren, they're doing pretty well. So it's like, the curse mate has been put to bed, at least for this portion of the family, thankfully. So
yeah. Because they were at one point, I think they were known as like the Kennedys of wrestling, but just because of like how they were just unfortunately passing away early.
Anyone out there who was curious about World Class Championship Wrestling, Kevin sold the tape library to WWE, and so all of World Class, like a lot of World Class Championship Wrestling content, but like their weekly show and some of their like special events are on Peacock as part of the WWE network as well. So.
Yeah. And as far as for anyone watching, as far as like, you probably already know this, but I always like to say it. That's why the Freebird rule comes from the Fabulous Freebirds, which you can be the tag team champion, but if you're a trio, either two of the three can defend it, and they call it the Freebird rule. That came from the Fabulous Freebirds, which obviously the trios of the Von Erichs. I remember watching those, and the crowds of maybe like 1,000 in the Sportatorium, maybe 500, but it felt like there was 15,000. They went nuts for the Von Erichs versus the Freebirds, and you thought that was when you're like, oh, this crap is real. Like they just do not like each other on that. But no, they're just that. It was just that good of match, especially back in the 80s when it's kind of slow paced. When they made a DDT look like the biggest thing since sliced bread. And whereas like no, it was just an all-out brawl, and how they were able to call those matches, I do not know.
The heat that those guys generated in that feud is unreal, man. It's like,
it was so good. It's such a big of a feud. Literally, we have a big time movie about it. And obviously, it has some more to do with obviously the family aspect and the tragedies and stuff like that, which makes for better drama. But that feud between those two factions, I guess you can say, those trios matches were just so big that we still are talking about it, today. So just
very excited for this movie. Hope it does well.
All right. So do you want to do SmackDown first, just because it came before Fastlane? Okay.
Yeah, I figured we'd do SmackDown first to lead right into Fastlane, which happened on Saturday night. So SmackDown last Friday night, LA Knight, opened the show. Was about to cut a promo, probably explaining, why he's decided to help out John Cena. Well, it's pretty obvious. It's like, Bloodline, the bad guys. They're causing all kinds of havoc, and LA Knight is not gonna have any of that. But the Bloodline interrupted, and Jimmy talking smack. Cena came out to back him up, and LA Knight challenged Jimmy Uso to a match later in the evening, and that ended up being the main event. We had Asuka and Charlotte join forces against Damage Control representatives Bayley and women's champion Io Sky, which was part of the build toward the triple threat match for the women's title that the 3 out of the 4 of them were going to have at Fastlane. Charlotte and Asuka won that match. It was a good match. It was fine. Then a very surprising thing. I mean, well, I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's kind of surprising. Just like Lashley took on Rey Mysterio, and Bobby Lashley just thrashed poor Ray, man. He tossed him around. He was tossing around like a rag doll, and it's like he beat him clean too. On top of that,
it reminded me of Rey Mysterio's run as the world champion, because they basically just beat the crap out of him when he was champion.
Yeah,
it was
and then
they did not book him correctly.
And then after the match, he and I'll call them the Soup Profits, even though they're still called the Street Profits. I think it's more appropriate in their heel mode that they're the Soup Profits because they wear the suits. So Lashley, the Soup Profits attacked the LWO and beat them up afterwards, which led to a backstage segment where it was revealed that Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro were not cleared to be in the 6-man against Lashley and the Profits at Fastlane, which left Santos and Ray outnumbered 3-2. So Ray's told Santos and Zelina Vega, "Don't worry, I know someone I think can help. I'm going to make a phone call." And that led to the return of a certain someone, which we'll get to in Fastlane, which has been rumored for quite a while. So that was more set up for the pay-per-view. Isla Dawn Alba Fire had another promo segment, doing their voodoo magic stuff. That's fine. I just want them to be back in the ring sometime soon, hopefully. Then some interesting stuff happened where the Bloodline went to their locker room and found the Judgment Day waiting for them. Mm-hmm. And so things were a little tense until both Ray and Heyman told everyone Ray had told everyone to clear out so she could talk to Heyman because she wanted to do some business. There was a cool moment there where Solo and Damian Priest would just kept staring at each other. Look, as this is I do not like you. Until they were told to leave. And so this led to some really cool stuff here with Rhea Ripley's just killing it right now. I'm just saying it right now. She is just crushing it with her character work and just the pro work she's doing, because she was going toe to toe with one of the best ever in Paul Heyman, man. Who it's whose mic skills are the stuff of legend at this point. And the fact where she's like, "No, you acknowledge me,"
right,
was absolutely fabulous. So she basically was like, "Hey, we have mutual problems and mutual enemies here. We can work together here."
It's also her birthday today, by the way. So
yes,
happy birthday, Rhea. I know you're watching. You're our biggest fan.
We're one of your biggest fans.
Right, exactly.
So
27. At the right
still only 27. Still only 27. She's not even 30 yet. And she's already this damn good. Just imagine what she's going to be doing over the next decade. So that led to Heyman saying, "Oh, I gotta talk to Roman to see if this can be authorized." And so because there was rumors that Jay and Cody were going to show up, so that's why they were there, because of the tag title match that happened at Fastlane. Then we had Dragon Lee taking on Austin Theory. Dragon Lee won. Awesome. Good way for apparently Dragon Lee is done with NXT, because apparently he's listed as being on the SmackDown roster. So it's
that was fast.
So and he's been showing up. He's been on there. So I think he's officially been moved up, which is great because he's amazing. So glad to see him get a win to start off. Apparently is his time on SmackDown. So it's all good. And then we had the main event, LA Knight taking on Jimmy Uso. Basic TV back and forth match. Crowd was hot for it, because it's they fucking love LA Knight right now. But so Sikoa came down and attacked LA Knight for the DQ. No surprise there. Then Judgment Day came out, and Paul Heyman told Rhea that Roman was perfectly fine with the business arrangement. And so Judgment Day on the Bloodline got up onto the apron looking to wreck John Cena and LA Knight. But Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso arrived to even up the odds a little bit. And there was a big brawl, and the babyfaces won out to end the show. So decent go home show for SmackDown. Nothing like mind blowingly good. You know, it was all about building toward the pay per view and laying some pieces and stuff. So it was a decent show. I wouldn't say it was like a great show, but it was fine.
Yeah. I just a couple of things that stuck out to me. Number one, I just saw this. Bailey has lost like 88% of her matches since she's returned.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was kind of crazy, but she's still Bailey, so it's like you don't
Mhm.
have to like get put on. She can go on a run, and she can't go on a run. It doesn't really matter. It's just making again kind of what I kind of highlights at the beginning. It's about making new stars.
She's made it clear that, you know, Damage Control and what she's doing right now, it's about helping out the other women that she feels deserves to get a chance. You know, Io, Dakota, and even other people. So, I mean, she's done. I mean, she's a Grand Slam champion. She's already done pretty much everything you could do in the women's division at this point. You know, she's won all the titles at least once, both NXT and on the main roster. So it's cool that she is in the mode of like, I want to help build up the division. I want to help build up new stars and get people over. And that's why people love Bailey. It's like she's very unselfish, you know, about this kind of stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, and Dragon Lee. I mean, geez. Dragon Lee is why you know how you can tell, and again we'll get into Raw, but there's like a couple of things that's like that would never happen with Vince was in charge. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so Dragon Lee would still be in NXT and probably got future endeavored about a year into his contract. I mean, just because again, Triple H tries to make tries to highlight multiple things. I mean, he's never going to be 100%, but he just puts on a much more, it's not 50-50 booking with the same 7 people on that. So, but yeah, Dragon Lee, he's awesome. But again, having him go to the main roster this quickly is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad about it. As far as the ending, and as far as like the Rhea and the Paul Heyman stuff throughout the show was great.
Yes.
And then that little, you know, all them brawling at the end, other than it kind of reminded me of old school stuff of like, you know, people just keep coming out and they brawl as they go off the air type of thing.
Yeah.
I always like that type of old school.
We're desperately out of time, as Tony
yeah,
say
we're desperately. I'm sorry, we're out of time. We gotta go. And, you know, so it kind of had that feeling of just like, okay, here we go. But then they just did the whole typical. They kind of put send the crowd home happy. With all right, JD, all right, young fella, go in there and take all of our finishers, and we're just gonna stand here. Like,
poor JD, man.
yeah, he's well, hey, he's being highlighted. Just enjoy the run on that. But I mean, he's that tweener. It's like he's never gonna be a main event guy, but he's a solid wrestler, and he's gonna be fine. On that, it just is what it is.
He's probably one of the biggest storylines that's going on in WWE right now. So it's like you can't ask for much more than that, really.
Yeah, it was like when Ryder and Hawkins were the edge heads. It's like they were like, enjoy the ride while it's happening. And then now, obviously, Ryder and Hawkins are still doing great on independent wise, but that's beside the point.
Yeah,
but that's just kind of reminded me of that. It's like when JD went with them, it's like, hey, enjoy the ride. Another thing, as far as Judgment Day, I know we're going to talk about them throughout the time, but I do want to highlight Edge did come out and have a big long comment about his, like, him splitting with Judgment Day and stuff like that, and how basically they just kind of told him Finn was still going to join, but then they were going to draw it out a little bit more before they turned on him, and then immediately like, nope, Finn's going to come out, he's going to join, and then they're going to turn on you. And he was like, what? And he goes, looking back at it, I'm glad they did, is because they would have been in my shadow the whole time. People still would have been like, oh, it's Edge. And, and the thing is like, and I think he's come to grips with it. Now, again, like you said, they wanted to be more spooky. That's what we heard. But then Edge says this. So maybe it's a little bit different. Whereas he kind of wanted to keep going with it. And they were like, no, let's just have them do their thing. And which then he says, why would you have me go heel when they've been waiting for a babyface Edge for 9 years? And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then again, how you saw them booking Judgment Day until Triple H took over, it's like they didn't have any faith in the rest of them, and just wanted to edge away from them so they can just bury them. And then Triple H took over, and here we are. Because that's the only thing I'm like, I get where Edge is saying, and he maybe is just, and that maybe it was what happened and what they told him, but based on how they were booking Judgment Day compared to when Triple H, and now they're the biggest heel faction in wrestling, that tells me that they had no faith in Finn. Well, Vince McMahon never had faith in Finn Balor because he always get hurt, apparently. So on that, so
yeah,
and how they finally, where we are now, and then adding Dominic, which as far as top heels in the WWE, Roman Reigns, Dominic Mysterio, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's like it's amazing how far Judgment Day's come in the last year. It's like it's like they got more stroke power right now than the Bloodline, especially with Roman being MIA since SummerSlam. So it's like the Bloodline is fading, and Judgment Day has risen up at the top in this place. For how long they're going to be at the top, who knows? Because they're even though like the JD stuff is part of the seeds of dissension that will eventually lead to a breaking at some point, but it's still really entertaining to see what they're doing with them, and it's like, and they're getting the heat, man. It's like it's like the only one that they really get that people want to cheer for, but they have to boo, especially when she's like doing stuff with Dominic, is Rhea. I mean, like kids love Rhea right now.
Yeah, and they always say like there's no leader in the Judgment Day, but I'm like,
Rhea's taking over the leadership position at this point. It's pretty clear.
And no one,
Mamie's calling the shots, buddy.
Yeah. And I like the stare down between Priest and Solo, but I love the stare down between Rhea and Solo from about a couple months earlier. And they were like, and Heyman was like, "Can you switch places? Because this makes me uncomfortable." And then they just switched right back, and it was still Rhea and Solo staring each other down. So that just reminded me of that. Just a callback to that. So, but yeah, we went home, made the crowd happy, and then we jumped right into Fastlane, which, as far as numbers wise, I mean, of course it's WWE, so they're always gonna promote it. But I mean, it was like, as far as this is the biggest Fastlane, as far as numbers wise, ticket sales, all that fun stuff.
It's the most successful Fastlane pay-per-view they've done. Mm.
Yeah, well, there hasn't been many, but that being said, this is the most successful they've done, which doesn't surprise me because it was a pretty solid card.
It was for like a B-level pay-per-view in between Survivor Series and SummerSlam, or none of like it's like with no Roman Reigns either. It was a very light card, only 5 matches, which is very shocking compared to like the dozen that you get with AEW right now. But it led to a very lean, fun show. So I was pleasantly surprised. It was a good show. No match I felt really sucked, but it's like I had one or two that really kind of stood out. And we'll kind of go over that. So the show kicked off with, I think, which was the right choice, was Judgment Day, Finn Balor, and Damian Priest defending the undisputed tag team titles against the makeshift team of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, part of the ongoing Babyfaces versus Judgment Day feud that's going on Raw. And man, Jey Uso is over. Holy cow. It's like, just go back and watch how many fans in the crowd are doing this. It's like, damn, man. This is why like I tend to trust Triple H with a lot of things. They know what they're doing. They see the single star power that Jey has at this point. That's why he's been moved away from Judgment Day to Raw, and it's been a good move for him. He is really over. He's part of this hot feud with the Judgment Day. It's all good for him.
Yeah, and then
fans still love Cody to death. So you got two of the most over faces taking on the biggest heel group. And so this match had plenty of heat. Fans were into this match all the way through. It was one of the best matches on the show, to be honest. They really kicked this thing off hot. Things got wacky near the end. It's like, of course, Judgment Day was trying to pull all kinds of shenanigans. Rhea's trying to help cheat. Dom, and then JD, of course. But unfortunately for Judgment Day, JD made a big boo-boo because he went to hit Cody with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Cody ducked, and he hit Damian Priest in the knee instead while he was standing on the announce table. That allowed Cody to crossroads Damian on top of the table. Table did not break. and Damien did a great job of selling like he was like knocked the F out. He was it was fantastic. Yeah. And that left poor Finn all alone, and Jay and Cody did like a 1D Cody Cutter combo to finish off Finn Balor, and they are the new undisputed tag team champions. I did not expect this result. I didn't think they were going to win the match. I was shockingly surprised that they did this. And boy, Rhea was like ripping JD a new one at the ringside, like, what did you do? And JD was just like, I fucked up so bad. Oh, I'm in deep shit.
Yeah, he paid for it on Raw too.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that because it's like Damien wanted to murder him really badly on Raw, and it's like Rhea had to save his ass. So this was a hot opener, awesome match, surprising result. I'm very interested to see where this is going to go with Cody and Jay as the tag team champions.
I understand it because it's like a weird. It's like I'm like, guys, we already kind of had the odd couple and Adam Cole and MJF, and then they made it work. But this is a really odd couple, and it's still just kind of like, okay. I'm like, okay, like, where are you going with this? Why? Like, here's the thing, and it still is. I understand it. It's cool, fun. Put the tag titles in the main event thing, but again. You have tag teams, and none of your championships have been on an actual tag team. Now, you can say Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
The ones who recently that I've considered like a because KO and Sami have teamed up so much over the years. I consider them like a legit tag team. But yeah, your point is valid, especially because we got so many great tag teams set up. Like Pretty Deadly is coming back into the mix. DIY just got reformed.
Imperium.
So it's like the tag division is getting stacked. So yeah, that's what my concern is. Like, I want to see is like obviously it's not going to be a very long reign. Is what I'm guessing here. Yeah, it's like the tag titles are being used as part of the feud between the faces and Judgment Day on Raw at this point. Mm-hmm. It's just to get Judgment Day angry. Like, oh god, it's like it's like we're missing gold. We need to get the gold back. It's like it's all leading fuel to, I think, War Games.
Yeah. They have, I think they officially came out. I saw
SRS is basically hearing that War Games is pretty much a lock for Survivor Series.
Yeah, we've been calling what the War Games is going to be, and like I said, and if they have and if they add a fifth member, then it's gonna be Jimmy.
Yeah.
So
no, especially if this bloodline Judgment Day Alliance continues, they could have you could have Cody J, KO Sami, and
LA Knight.
Probably LA Knight against Judgment Day, JD, and Jimmy.
Yeah, because Solo would make more sense, but maybe
you could throw in Cena. You could go 6-on-6. You throw in Solo and Cena, but
the way the comments were with Cena after Fastlane, it just sounds like this is, Cena's going to show up every once in a while, but that's it. This is kind of it.
As soon as the actor strike is over, he's gonna be leaving not long after that. He made that clear because he was in the middle of working on something when the strike happened. So it's like they're the negotiations still going on. We don't know how much longer that strike's going to go on, but 6-on-6 seems a bit much for War Games. It's better when it's like 5-on. At least 5-on-5 is more the classic way to go.
5-on-5, 4v4. It's fine. So here's how they could do it. Again, with Survivor Series, Roman's got to show up somewhere. And so Jimmy's
he's showing up on SmackDown finally this week.
Okay, so we'll finally get some type of direction on where they're wanting to go with the 18th inning or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
So the way I can see it, or how they want to book it, if they do have the alliance and they add a fifth member, Jimmy makes the most sense just because the brother on the brother thing. Yeah. He's like, you couldn't control your brother, and I'm not, and you haven't, and you wanted out of the bloodline. Now you want to get in the bloodline. You got to show me that how much you want to get back in, because right now you're out. And
prove your loyalty. Take out your brother.
And go take out your brother. And you better get along with them, because if you can't get along with them, you can't get along with your own family. How can you get they can make it work to where Jimmy is in that match.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see where this goes. It's cool. it's cool seeing Cody have some gold around his waist, finally. Now he's back, but it's like it's still a little weird.
Yeah. And the other highlight is their post interview. That thing was hilarious.
Also, they are definitely as much as like The Rock. They're doing teases of Rock and Roman clashing at some point. Cody Roman is still in the cards because they are really hyping up the finish the story stuff. It's like, so good match to start Fastlane. Then we had the LWO against Bobby Lashley and the Suit Profits. The person that Ray called did not arrive right away, and so Ray and Santos went into this as a handicap match for the most of this match. They did their best. There was some good action, and then he's back. Carlito returns. This has been rumored for quite a while, especially how he was received when he appeared at Backlash earlier this year in Puerto Rico, where he helped out LWO and the Bad Bunny in his fight with Damian Priest. Carlito returned, got a good reception, came out and helped the LWO defeat Bobby Lashley and the Suit Profits. So he's signed to a new contract and he's back.
Again, so, this has Triple H being in 99% of creative control all over it because they signed him and then you didn't see him. Now you did. So
yeah. It was a good match. It's like it was more about the build toward the Carlito return.
Yeah.
So, but it's good. It's gonna be very interesting to see what Lashley and the Profits are gonna do. I think Lashley is definitely gonna need to recruit some more people into this stable that he's building. Doesn't have a name yet. I hope they come up with a cool name. I wish it was the Hurt Business, but hopefully they'll come up with a cool name at some point. So we'll see where this goes. So it's another setback for Lashley and company. So we'll see how they're going to rebound.
It was the right call.
It was, especially with Carlito's return. It was built up. It's like, and plus LWO has been getting thrashed by Lashley and them for quite a while, so they kind of needed a W.
Honestly, I can't. Who's the other two guys that are actually the tag team and they just threw them out for Carlito?
It's Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro are the
I just kind of feel bad for him. It's like, LWO and those guys.
They were they were in the Legado del Fantasma in NXT with Santos.
Right. Santos is definitely the dude. Out of that.
Santos is awesome, man. I'm looking forward to when he finally gets some singles going around his ways. I loved him in NXT. He's awesome. So, then we went to the triple threat match for the WWE Women's title. Io Sky defending against both Asuka and Charlotte Flair. This match took a bit to get going, but when it got going, this match fucking cooked. They got the crowd into it. The crowd was kind of like lukewarm in the match, but the further the match got on, the crowd got really into it and broke out more than one "This is awesome" chant near the end. So, credit to the ladies for working their asses off to get the crowd into this match. I loved right at the beginning, Asuka busting out the Mist on Charlotte to neutralize her for a bit so she could take on Io one-on-one, which is perfectly, and that was a cool move because, there's no DQ in a triple threat, so she could bust out the Mist and the ref can't do anything to stop her. So I thought that was a cool way to start the match. And so like Charlotte's like trying to like clear out her eyes so she can get back at the match while Io and Asuka just go one-on-one for a bit. It's a clever way to, as part of it, because like they find ways to do that with triple threats sometimes where like they switch off and stuff like that. So I like that. There's some really cool spots in this match. The ladies worked really hard. And so it got to the finish was Charlotte had Asuka in the figure 8. Bayley had come down to help Io, despite Io saying that she didn't want Bayley to come down to help her, that she wanted to win this on her own. But Bayley got up the apron to distract the ref, and while the ref was trying to get Bayley to back down, Asuka was tapping out to the figure 8, which the ref did not see, and that allowed Io to moonsault Charlotte off the top rope and pin her to keep the title on her waist. So yeah, This match took a bit to get going, but man, like I said, when it cooked, it cooked. Ended up being a really damn good match. Really glad Io is still a champion. Glad she's getting this push. Love her to death. So this obviously sets up that Charlotte's going to get like a one-on-one match because she's going to be like, it's like, I should have won that match. It's like I had Asuka. Asuka was tapping out, but the ref didn't see it. I got robbed. It's like, so it's like Charlotte's probably going to get a one-on-one match with Io in the near future as a result, which I'm fine.
Yeah, and again, as long as you get the Charlotte Flair that puts on bangers and not just a run-of-the-mill
stuff. Charlotte had her working boots on for this match, man.
She did. So I'm like, and this is why it's like that's why the audience has a love-hate relationship with her, is because she was always in the title picture, and it's like, okay, it just got stale, kind of like the Roman thing. But the thing is she puts on freaking bangers and matches.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to see the Spider-Man meme come to life of her versus Tiffany Stratton.
Oh God. Oh God, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, they just kind of look at each other like they're kind of like they're gonna have like the Waller Miz situation where it's like, wait a minute, aren't we the same guy? So on that, but no, I'm glad with this. I'm interested going forward. Kairi Sane just basically had her last match, and I forget what promotion it was.
Yeah, and there's been rumors for a long time that when she was finishing up her work in Japan, that she was going to come back to WWE. Yeah. It's like of course, WWE has not said anything, but SRS and a lot of other reputable people have said that she is going to be coming back in the near future.
Yeah. So,
actually, that would be a really cool thing that, because like really, like if Asuka's still going to be in the mix, feuding with Damage Control, Kairi coming back to back up her former tag team champ partner would make a lot of sense.
What was her tag team name?
They were the Kabuki Warriors.
There you go. Thank you. I love that name. I was like, I know. Yeah. I remembered. It was really cool.
They had one of the longest and best women's tag team champions.
Yeah, they did.
The only one I'd say was probably Bayley and Sasha when they were holding all the women's gold during the pandemic, where they both had the singles. They were each like the Raw and SmackDown champion, and they were tag team champions at the same time.
Yeah,
they were like the 2-woman power trip.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, they were like Stone Cold and Triple H, like they're the female version of that.
Yeah, they were the female version of the 2-man power trip, and it was like that was one of the highlights of the pandemic.
It's kind of crazy how both the two longest running women's tag team that actually like had meaning to it. They were both actually heel teams at the time. Going forward. But yeah, with that, and then with Jade, like as far as like new, that Jade, and then this means that you can kind of hold off Tiffany Stratton a little bit. You don't have to immediately break that glass.
No, and and it's made clear that she's got some other. They're building up other feuds, and she may still get the NXT Women's title back at some point. You never know. So yeah, no, it's like. I don't mind Tiffany as much as I love Tiffany. I don't mind her. They're keeping her in NXT for a little bit longer, so she can give her even some more seasoning. But so yeah, that was good. So then second to last match, we had the big super baby faces of John Cena and LA Knight teaming up against the Bloodline, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Of course, this match got massive heat. It's like when you got two of the most popular baby faces in the company, and John Cena and LA Knight, is like fans are going to be invested. And boy, did they really wanted to milk this match, because Cena was the face in peril for like 10 freaking minutes. They really dragged. That was my only complaint. I felt that they dragged out the hot tag to LA Knight a little longer than it should have. But it's like kudos to John Cena for, he did some great selling.
Also, he not only is he called the GOAT, he's also the GOAT at being not hiding your calls at all. He's so bad, like it's easy to figure out. I figured what it was. He was like one point where he was about to go there, and he literally, like, you saw him like look at Jim. He was like, "Go text Solo." I'm like, okay, I guess he's not gonna get LA Knight yet. I was like, gee, and I remember that one where he tagged with Kevin Owens, and it was just bad production, where it wasn't John Cena's fault. But it literally was like right on Cena. He was like 2 minutes, and then the referee was like 2 minutes. Hold. I'm like, why are we here? Why are we here? Quit pulling the curtain, guys. We already know don't know who the Wizard is.
I was so
still.
into the match, I didn't even notice it until people, SRS and other people on Twitter pointed it out.
Oh, I noticed it. I was like, Jesus Christ, John.
But yeah, no, this was a fun match. It was back and forth. But the babyfaces emerged victorious. Jimmy went down after a 5-knuckle shuffle and a blunt force trauma. Jimmy Uso went down for the 3 count, giving the babyfaces the win. Send the crowd, they give the fans something to cheer about. So yeah, no, this was no surprise. I knew that the faces were going to win because they had to lose because Roman's about to come back and he's going to be pissed. Jimmy and Solo are going to be in the fucking doghouse come SmackDown. The Tribal Chief is not going to be a very happy Tribal Chief when he shows up on Friday night. And it's going to be very interesting to see what he's going to do to the two of them when he shows up this week. But because this wasn't something they exactly planned. This was all Jimmy. Jimmy kind of forced all this entire situation to happen. And it's like with all this bark. And they went down in flames, especially with the way some of Paul Heyman's facial expressions are going to be. You know, it's like, excuse me.
Okay.
So yeah, no, this was a good match. No surprise at the result. This is what should have happened.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna. John Cena's not gonna take a pin. And LA Knight is not going to take it because you're not going to kill his momentum. So
Nope.
you knew what was going to happen. You just want an entertaining match. And every time now, LA Knight does that freaking suplex off the top rope, and he does basically a box jump up. I remember when he botched it the first time he tried to do it, and every time I hold my breath, I'm like, please, love of God, get there.
I mean,
once he gets there, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful top rope suplex, but.
When he's like going to town, just punching a guy in the corner, the fans are going, yeah, with each punch. That's how fucking over he is right now.
Yeah.
Dear God.
He's over without even trying nowadays. So it's just really cool to see. Because I've like we said, we followed LA Knight or Dummy with but I mean it's kind of funny. It's like people are like, why is it LA Knight? It says because you have to have the bop 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 because Eli Drake. So just for people that are the casuals out there that are going to find this show because we're awesome. That's the reason. If you look at it, he goes Eli Drake. Yeah, he brought it from. It wasn't like WWE told him. He's been doing this.
No, he's been doing that for a while. That's part of his shtick.
Yeah. Also go look at it at NWA when he was drunk and calling his he called his jacket championship shoes. It's hilarious.
I haven't seen that.
He was like sitting there just drinking champagne when he was NWA champion. He's like, I got championship shoes, and you see this? This is championship shoes. And then people started laughing. He's like, I called my jacket championship shoes, didn't I? All right, anyway.
Oh man. All right, so then we had our main event that was highly anticipated because the feud has been built up so well. Seth Rollins defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match. I know some people felt that this match didn't hit as high as expectations I hope. I still thought it was a fantastic match. It did kind of get a little bit ridiculous near the end, maybe depending on how you feel about it. But I still felt that they did a really good job with Nakamura just doing everything he possibly could to try to kill Seth, and just Seth refused to die. I mean, the spot. I thought it was over when he busted out, when he coated Seth's face in the red mist on the top of the ladder, and Seth fell, did the trust fall, went right through the table, and looked like he was just DEAD dead. I thought that was it right there. And then when we got up, I was like, oh my God. and then the Kinshasa through the table, and he still gets up. It's it was the fans were definitely in this match. Saying Seth Rollins, he's something else, man. It's it's like his back is not 100%, and yet he did a match like this, and some of those spots, it's like, dear God, man. Him and Shinsuke went all out in this match, man. It's like there's some pretty brutal spots where it was just like, but in the end, after a stomp and a Falcon Arrow off of the second row through a table, Seth barely beat the count to get back to his feet ahead of Shinsuke to win the match. I know a lot of people like you and me were kind of hoping Shinsuke would win it here. I guess maybe I'm just like I was like, oh man, you could have given Shinsuke the win here. But I'm not gonna hold that against the match. The match was still excellent. It was a little bummed that it's like that Shinsuke didn't get the win here. But it's leading to his next feud, which we'll get to on Raw. Was another person I would love. So I'm very to see where that's gonna go. But despite being bummed that Shinsuke didn't get the win here, match was still excellent and a good end to the show.
Yeah, hats off to Shinsuke and Seth. I mean, this feud, some people thought it's kind of cool. We've always bought into it just because we're still kind of got the Shinsuke NJPW goggles, and this is close we've gotten to the NJPW Shinsuke. So we were just kind of like, yeah, this is what we've been wanting the whole time. So they've been putting on great matches. The whole feud, has it kind of gotten redundant of like, get your back. Oh gosh, it's your back. I'm like, WWE always does like the same storyline. The fact that I'm so used to it by now, and I was already bought in. So once you're buying in, it doesn't get that repetitive to me. Like, it doesn't count me out of it. The only thing, and it has nothing to do with them, I cannot buy into the last man standing matches because it's like going to space in a skit. It's like, what do you do once you get there? Because you're gonna have like, I remember the KO Roman Reigns where they botched the handcuffs.
Oh god, that was terrible.
And I'm
that
just
match
like,
that match was quite good until that killed that match.
And that's the thing. It's hard to find because they always say, like, in sketch comedy, once you go to space, there's no ending. Like, how do you end it? And once you go to space, you've gone too far. And in that last man standing match has nothing to do with the talent. It just has, how do you figure it out? And to me, at the end of it, it's like we're just sitting there like we went through like all these crazy ass spots, and then you end up with, oh, he stomped him. He just got up barely, and Shinsuke's just sitting there. And as soon as they counted to 10, Shinsuke like turned around. I was like, I lost. And I'm like, it's just, it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do. I just don't. The stipulation just takes me out because I'm like, how you end it, and then at the end you're just like, ugh. So that's how we ended it. They just went through hell, and we ended it with I just missed a count. Like I just got up, and it's just anticlimactic. And every time it just they go all out, and then like I quit matches. You can find an ending to that. Like I would have, if it was an I quit match, it would have made more sense. It's just
actually that would even be honestly that it's like I'm kind of with you. That would have been an even better stipulation. It's like no, last man standing is a tough stipulation match to pull off and make it like look really good. I mean, what helps is that the fans were into this match, man.
Yes,
it's like
the crowd helps. And Jimmy, and speaking about Jimmy, like how over he is when he does that, that's a good barometer to figure out how hot the crowd is. Because then when he starts doing that, they'll pan out. If it's just like a smattering of fans that do it, you're like, okay, this crowd's dead. If every crowd does it, all right, it's gonna be a hot crowd. We're gonna have the crowd's gonna be in. It's gonna make the watch even better because the crowd does help the show just as much as.
I definitely understand your criticism. It's like I can get into a last man standing match, but. Yeah, I felt like it just like at some points I was just like, okay, come on, guys, like it got a bit much.
And plus people were more focused on Cena and.
I was kind of hoping for like a 4.5, but this ended up being almost just about a 4 out of 5 for me.
It's a 3.75 for me. It's just not quite a 4 because it's the talent and the bill and the bill was fine. It's just the last man standing match. It's hard for me to ever give it a 4. It's like a club sandwich. Like, it's going to be appetizing, but at the end, you're just like, oh, it was a sandwich that I ate at the end of the day. It wasn't like a steak or something like that. So it's just, I just have a problem with that stip. It has nothing to do with the talent. It's hard to figure out a good finish that actually caps it off.
Yeah. No, I totally respect that. That's why I felt like actually the tag title match was probably the best match on the show. So overall, entertaining B-level pay-per-view with some good
best
stuff.
Fastlane we've ever had. That's not saying much, but still, it's easily the best Fastlane we've ever had.
Oh, also can't forget Jade Cargill made her on-screen debut, showing up, greeted by Triple H. So continuing the tease of when she's going to make her like official in-ring or in storyline debut.
So they kind of teased that she was going to show up on NXT too, because it showed her at a picture with a phone, said Shawn Michaels on it, and it was her tweeting out, and someone goes, "Who took a picture of her phone?"
She was there. She was greeted by Shawn, but she didn't. It was like with Fastlane. It was like, oh, Jade Cargill is here in the building to see what's going on, kind of thing. Yeah. So,
all right. So I know we're already an hour at 10, and I want to touch more on the NXT Tuesday Night War. And kind of how that all went. So just run through. Just go through the highlights.
Yeah, we'll run through Raw real quick. So, Seth opened the show, crying about his victory over Shinsuke and saying that's over and done with, and looks that way because Drew McIntyre, one of my favorite guys, came out and was like, "Yo, I'm next," and Seth's like, "Okay, fine." I'm glad And so, and then they made it later official. It's Seth versus Drew for the world title at Crown Jewel. Cool. Interesting thing happened that's furthering the descent for Drew to turn heel. Damian Priest, after they were done talking, Damian Priest jumped Seth, tried to cash in Money in the Bank. Drew didn't go in to help him, but when Dom ran out with the Money in the Bank briefcase for him to cash in, that's when Drew intervened and prevented it from happening. And Seth talked to him about that later. Because it was like, look, I don't care about that, but no, I'm beating Seth for the title. So, fuck you, Judgment Day. So
McIntyre's having the best character work I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I like where this is going. It's a nice, cool, slow build toward the heel dump. It's like, because the fans are still loving him, but he's doing those little touches that show that he's tapping back into the dark side.
It's weird when you have cohesive writing week in, week out, and it just makes sense instead of just like showing up, which is why I had the problem with Jimmy situation. But they booked themselves into a corner, so and then finally kind of resulted in Jimmy just going all like Joker-ish as far as just I'm just gonna beat everybody because I'm pissed. But anyway,
so after that, they had a backstage segment where Damian Priest was literally like had JD Ventura up looking like he was going to murderize him for what happened at the pay-per-view, and Rhea had to get him back off. She told JD that it basically was a punishment that he would face Drew McIntyre later in the show to make up for his fuck up at the pay-per-view. And making it clear that Rhea is definitely in charge here, which is cool. Ivar defeated Kofi Kingston in a Viking Rules match. This was a lot of fun. These two had a hell of a banger match, and they did it again.
And they gave him time.
Yeah, they gave him time. Xavier Woods tried to help, but Valhalla scared the fuck out of poor Xavier Woods, so that didn't go very far. So yeah, that was good. We had Nia Jax against Raquel Rodriguez. A good big woman Haas match for a while there. With a cool spot with Raquel power bombing Nia out of the corner. Fans really love that spot. But thankfully, Raquel did not do the job because Rhea ran out to attack Nia Jax to bring out the DQ. The three of them brawled. Shayna came back out and got involved. Shayna laid out Rhea with her patented knee shot, knocking her silly.
Oh my gosh, they have multiple women that you actually can buy beating Rhea. It's a crazy concept.
Yeah. No, I like what they're doing right now with this whole thing. It's like it's setting up a lot of that. Rhea's got to work cut out for her. She's got a lot of people gunning for her that you can buy winning the title from her. So that furthered that. That led to Rhea telling Adam Pearce she needs to get the women's division in order, and she wants Shayna one-on-one in a non-title match on next week's Raw, and so that's set in stone. Then we had Cody and Jay came out to be interviewed by Michael Cole about their win in the tag titles. Cole got into this whole thing about like, well, now that you're a tag team champion, how's this going to affect you wanting to, finish the story? before Cody could provide an answer for that, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens came out, and it was like, and I love this. Sami's like, I love you guys, and I'm happy for you, but we want those tag titles back.
Side note, they screwed up and they used Sami Zayn's old music when they came out. And that wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh, was it? Okay, I was wondering about that.
No, they reported that was like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Okay. And so they accepted the challenge, and that became the main event of the show. And then we had a triple threat match to determine who would get the next shot at Gunther for the Intercontinental title. Bronson Reed versus Chad Gable versus Ricochet. Ricochet attacked Shinsuke in a backstage interview as retaliation for what he did to him prior to the pay-per-view. And Shinsuke paid him back by attacking him when he came out for this triple threat number one contender match and laid him out with a go to sleep, which made people go, This was a fun little triple threat match. Bronson Reed won this out with the tsunami on Ricochet after he dumped Chad Gable. So once again, Chad gets denied his rematch with Gunther, which I'm fine with. You know, it's like it's building towards something. So and plus Bronson Reed versus Gunther is going to be one hell of a fucking match. It's like that's gonna be cool, man. I'm glad that Bronson's getting a push. He's cool, man. So I'm glad he's been getting the push here lately. So
I'm hoping they give him time just to see how well Bronson can go. Just because he's typically, one of those like Goldberg. Like Goldberg can't wrestle. It just kind of was the whole thing as far as technicality. I remember him when he finally got him with William Regal and realized, he's really not a technical wrestler. He's a 4 minutes, like a medium that the medium bump and meat type thing. And I'm just like, let's see. And now Bronson being down in NXT, that's kind of how they trained him. But Gunther's really going to be all right, let's see if Bronson can go.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a big test for him. Drew McIntyre destroyed JD McDonough in less than 5 minutes. No surprise there. And then we had a cool little bit, a pre-recorded segment that was said that happened earlier in the day, where Brian Saxton interviewed Johnny Gargano and Ciampa about the reformation of DIY and talking about how excited they were, and like that, it's like that this was a long time in the making, and they want to, they're going to go for the gold. But before they could finish the interview, Imperium appeared out of nowhere and beat them down as retaliation for what happened last week. No surprise there. So DIY versus Imperium, bring it on, baby, because that tag match could be a sleeper banger. So then we had at the 10 o'clock hour, we had the NXT women's title match. Becky Lynch defending against Tegan Nox. Finally, good TV match. Tegan got to get in some really good stuff here. Looked like it did a good couple moments where it looked like she might be able to win the title, but she couldn't. But Becky finally, she like escaped the disarmor like multiple times, but finally Becky locked it in to the point where Tegan tapped out to let Becky continue her NXT Women's Championship reign. Good showcase for Tegan. Hopefully this continues to lead to more good things for her, because they're definitely pushing her because she they're definitely building something with her and Natty, because Natty wished her luck before the match, and then afterwards her, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance were all kind of like consoling Tegan, saying, like, look, yeah, you lost, but it's like you put in a really you put in a good fight, there's always next time. While she was kind of like all bummed out that she lost. And of course then Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, the women's tag team champions, showed up to talk smack, which led to Natty and Piper getting each other's faces, and they're going to face off in a match next week on Raw. And then we had our before the main event, we had this weird where Wolfgang Kaiser got his own little like vignette.
I was like, okay, I'm not mad about it, but okay.
Yeah, I was like, it was kind of like it was like random, like okay, whatever. And then we had the main event. Cody and Jey Uso defending the Undisputed Tag Team titles against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Fantastic TV main event. Good stuff. Mm-hmm. Crowd was hot. Cody and Jey won clean. And then after the match,
Cody kind of had a weird Cody cutter, though. That was a weird looking Cody cutter.
It was a little weird looking Cody cutter. But and then it got to the moment where Kevin Owens and Jey stared each other down. But Kevin took his hand and shook it. So might be the beginning of Kevin Owens softening on Jey here. So and that no Judgment Day attack or anything, which is kind of interesting. It was just them showing mutual respect to end the show. So pretty good Raw, very solid.
Definitely a solid Raw.
And plus, building toward next week, they had a bunch of matches that were clearly lined out for next week as well. Storylines are progressing. Very interesting to see where things are going to go. I really like how it's like Chad's it's like he's starting to get like really frustrated. So it's very interesting to see where this is going to build to, because like he's trying to get that title shot against Gunther again, and it's like and things keep getting in the way. First it was Ciampa, and now Bronson Reed has bypassed him. So it's like,
yeah. I mean, that's probably the only thing is like questioning the booking, but as long as it ends with Gable winning finally, and he's the one that dethrones Gunther, because really and truly, he's the only one that they've built enough to make sense of it. But then again, Cody and Jey just randomly won the tag title. So something,
you never know.
So you never really know. But another thing, Tegan, I'm not too worried, because I was like, just please have a good showing. That way they have faith in it. She did, because she's a Triple H girl. Yep. So I'm not too, she's going to be finally more involved with the show. So, and we've told before, we're huge Tegan fans. Mm-hmm. When she finally actually gets time, and if you can't have, and Becky's probably the best of like getting the best out of anybody she faces.
Becky's killing it right now, man.
So if you can't, show that you can go toe to toe with Becky and put on an entertaining match, then you're probably not going to be around very long. And she, of course, said so. Yeah.
No, I was happy. I felt that she had a good showing. It also did a good job of getting people to understand Tegan with the little video package they did, about how she overcame tearing the ACLs in both of her knees, one after the other, which was like horrific. I remember when she came back from the first one, and it's like she was like in a red hot feud. She was getting a good push, and she had an awesome NXT title match against Io when Io was the champion. And then not long after that, it's like she like tore the ACL in the other knee, which is just like, oh my god, this is poor girl.
Against Rhea.
Against Rhea. So it's like she's overcome a lot over the last couple of years, and so it's like I'm glad that she's getting a good push. It's like it's very interesting to see where the thing between her and Natty's going. I wonder if it's leading to maybe like them tag teaming or something. We'll see.
I don't know, but
But Tegan's not done with the NXT title yet, because she showed up on NXT as well. Yep. She wants another shot at Becky too. So it's like,
yeah. Okay. So solid Raw. I definitely enjoyed it. It's just solid matches. Again, if you didn't think Triple H was involved, it's kind of the title of the show is Vince is out, based on how they've been doing it. They actually have like fluent, makes sense storylines. They gave Ivar and Kofi, which is
they
gave them time. That sounds like a main event or whatever they called that Saturday, whatever their undercard like Velocity type show is.
Yeah,
that shit has like main event written all over it. Guess what? They actually built it, gave them a stip match on Raw, and gave them time. And so it's got that. Tegan actually, putting emphasis on it, having multiple women that you can buy into winning the women's championship. That's never happened. The only thing left with the women's division is making the tag titles, which Chelsea Green is single-handedly making that worth the crap.
God bless Chelsea Green for the heel work she's doing.
So she's making it. So that's like the last little bit to be like, all right, your women's division is really solid ever since they brought up the 4 horsewomen. That was the last time I can remember this, like from top to bottom. It's like banger after banger. But that, again, it was just
Xia Li finally returned from purgatory, and she wants a shot at Becky too. So it's like I'm like, yes, it feels like the women's division it has got some real life going to it. It's like Rhea's got people hovering around her, Becky's got people coming after her, Io's got people coming after her. It's like you got multiple people in the mix where and also you got other storylines going on outside of the title hunt. You know, like what's this mutual respect thing that's building between Tegan and Natty, and you know, it's like, and then you got Chelsea Green and Piper Niven with the tag titles. You know, they're probably going to be looking out for Alba Fire and Ilsa Dawn are going to be back in the ring relatively soon. So
yeah, and you've actually got like decent mid cards because you know, so it's like you want to tune into the whole show because everything is entertaining from top to bottom, and we just haven't had that consistently in quite some time. And so this is how you book a show, and not just having your little playpen and just play with Woody and Buzz all damn time.
Yeah,
right. You actually have other toys to play with, and it actually you can make sense. So. You know, so far I'm liking how they're setting up multiple things, and I actually want to sit down and not have to fast forward through multiple segments like I used to back in the day.
Oh yeah, same with me.
So far great stuff, and let's finish it off with the Tuesday Night War.
All right, which one?
Sorry. I do want to say though, Nick Khan, you freaking sleeky bastard, that Pizza Hut promo in the middle of the freaking Fastlane.
Oh god. And then Woods bringing
stuff is just hilarious to me.
And then Woods bringing the big box to Cole and Corey Graves at ringside. Yeah, it's like that's product placement, baby.
Yeah, they're product placements. I mean, remember how every match was sponsored by like a movie or like, you know, it had like the Pitch Black match will forever be the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. I'm like, what the frick are we? And it's actually
WWE really goes all out with the sponsorship. You know,
that's like Nick Khan. That's a Nick Khan thing. Someone came out I'm like, what is up with all these like in your face ad placements? Because you know, I remember the Stacker 2 Slam of the Week. I remember that shit back in the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then freaking LA Knight arriving, doing a freaking tail slide with the big huge Slim Jim car, and just like, all right, guys.
Yeah, and plus, you know, him and Bianca are in the new Slim Jim commercial.
Yeah, so they're really. I mean, hey, but the thing is, it actually makes sense on why they. Yes, for a fan, you're like, oh my god, get away from this product placement. But as a business standpoint, you're putting these. You can sell that type of ad space and get that big time ad revenue.
Yeah,
because you're putting them in like, hey, look, we're literally put you in the forefront. You're sponsoring a match. So we're sitting there talking about your movie or your chip or whatever it is. So I did want to just point that out, that ever since I guess that Mountain Dew Pitch Black match that I've noticed ever since then, it's like a match to be sponsored or the product placement has been very much in your face.
Yeah.
As a business standpoint, makes sense. As a wrestling fan, I'm like, that's just hilarious. I just laugh at it at this point, especially with the pizza box.
It was so over the top. It was amusing.
Yeah. So
where do you want to start with Tuesday night, NXT or Dynamite?
Let's start with Dynamite, because to me this was just a better wrestling show, whereas like it reminded me of like where NXT kind of like, thankfully they had matches in there, but it did kind of remind me of the like the anniversary of Raw, where they would just have all the legends come back and be like, hey, remember us? It's like, but anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll start with Tuesday Night Dynamite. We had let's see, we opened the show with Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson, number one contender match to face Christian for the TNT title at Collision on Saturday night. No surprise, this match was banger between these two. It was back and forth, lots of cool stuff. Hangman Page came out and made his presence known. And this feud with Swerve is not over because he got into the match and distracted Swerve enough to allow Danielson to get the victory, pissing Swerve off mightily. You could see Swerve did a great job on his face. He was seething after the match. It's like that. He and Persona would get their payback on Page later in the show. So
yeah.
So this was a great start to the show. You got a little promo thing from Samoa Joe saying that he still wants another crack at MJF in the world title. He's still coming for him. Then we had Chris Jericho versus Powerhouse Hobbs. This was a good match, good showcase for Powerhouse Hobbs. Hobbs gets the clean win over Jericho. It looks like a monster that he should be. Someone pointed this out to me, and I completely agree. He should not have lost to Miro, because Miro beat him at was it All Out at Chicago, and which was a great match. Big meaty men slapping meat, but Miro's been completely MIA and not being used ever since that match, while Hobbs is now in one of the biggest feud angles on AEW right now with Don Callis' family. So him losing that match makes no sense now. He should have won that match, because that match has done nothing for Miro. They're not. It's like he's been off TV again.
Yeah, I like Hobbs, and again, this is kind of, I told you as soon as I saw it, because it was a squash match. I've never seen Chris Jericho get squashed since WCW. And it was just a ass beating.
It was like he beat him in 7 minutes, less than 10-minute match.
I mean, it just was a squash match. I mean, he literally pinned him with his knee on his face, like it was like a disrespectful pin and everything. Where it's like, oh my god, I was like, oh my god, I'm like, this is what we've been wanting.
Made him look like a beast, like he should.
Yeah,
it was great.
So two things, I definitely want to just spend some little bit of time on this match just because of how it was booked, and I'm like, oh, and this is what it looks like going forward. So number one, Chris Jericho has been known for putting over talent. He's always been big on putting over talent. Yeah. On that, like back when that's why he went over with Fandango. That's why he went over with he would help Dolph Ziggler, and like he went over on certain talent that you would think they would go over, but he just is big with putting over talent that he thinks needs that bump. Yeah. Powerhouse Hobbs needs the bump, like you said. With that, plus Powerhouse Hobbs is also turning into like the Randy Orton of AEW. It's like, how many groups have you been in at this point? And then because he's been with Team Taz, then he was with QTV, now he's with Don Callis. It's like, geez, Randy. It's always just
this is him being with Don Callis is a gigantic upgrade over being associated with QT Marshall and that whole crew.
Yes, and QT Marshall's actually has some funny vignettes, but that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs. This is like, okay, they're actually like, as soon as this, everyone's like, oh. Plus, you want to keep your young talent happy right now.
Yes.
So there's a lot of layers on why they booked the match the way they did.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, it's like, so, it was like with a lot of people's contracts potentially coming up in the next year, he's got to determine who he wants to make sure is happy and is going to stay and not jump ship to WWE like Jay did.
Yeah, because I mean, as soon as we heard rumblings that Aleister Black was,
he's not going to be able to keep everybody.
He's not keeping Ricky. It just, I don't care how much money you throw at him. I think Ricky's gonna go. But it kind of reminded me of like when Aleister Black, when he first got into AEW. Yeah. They came out, I was like, he was unhappy. Next thing you know, House of Black, Matthew shows up, joins that, Julia Hart, Trios title. Now they're showing up on pretty much, they're showing up everywhere, and they're being booked fine and letting Aleister do his thing. And I mean, as far as I know, he's happy. But with Triple H, he's a Triple H guy, so we'll see.
Yep. So that led to another hilarious segment with Adam Cole still at Roderick Strong's house. He said he's been there a week and he still hasn't gotten the surgery because Strong keeps coming up with excuses to keep him there. Making him mow the lawn of all things.
Yeah.
It's so over the top. It's funny. Because it's clear. It's like Cole. I love how Cole is like starting to like, he's on the verge of snapping over this whole thing. And it's so obvious what Strong is doing. But it's amusing, especially with the Kingdom there and their quips. And also, I guess it was a shout out maybe to the Water Boy when Roderick Strong was like, television is the devil, Adam, the devil. I was like, yeah. It's like, I was like, I was like, little Kathy Bates for the water boy there. Huh?
What is up with? Hold on, I just want to point. I'm glad you pointed that out because it is a shout out because it was basically like he doesn't. His mom didn't. Bobby's mom didn't never wanted him to leave because because it would remind her, of her dad, of the dad leaving. So she was just afraid that Bobby would leave her too, and she'd just be alone. So she just kept coming up with reasons like a Munchausen syndrome type of thing of like why you have to stay here. So kind of thing with Roddy's like he doesn't want Adam to leave because he already left him before. Blah blah blah. So yes, the time makes perfect sense on why that reference is there. But this is the second time that Adam Cole vignette has a Waterboy reference because we had Captain Insano like a week before.
Oh, that's right. Yes, him and MJF had Captain Insano cameo from Big Show, and then that line from Rod Strong. I was like, oh my god, it's a Waterboy reference.
Yeah, and it makes sense of how they're doing it. So it's like, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see what Waterboy they come up with next.
Yeah. So poor Cole is stuck there. This is a brilliant way to have him on TV, even with him out injured. They probably filmed like a bunch of these before he went and had his surgery. So very smart. Then we had the AEW International title match, Ray Fenix defending against Orange Cassidy. This was supposed to be a rematch with Moxley, but Moxley is still not cleared from the concussion injury. So Orange Cassidy was subbed into his place. And Fenix was banged the fuck up because this match did not last long, and Orange Cassidy won the title back for the second time.
I was surprised it happened, but whatever.
I knew that Fenix was not going to have the title long because it's like
he wasn't. I don't think he was supposed to beat Moxley anyway.
No, he wasn't supposed to beat Moxley. He only beat Moxley because Moxley got hurt, and now Fenix is hurt, and that's the only reason that Orange won the title in his place. So it's unfortunately the title has become hot potato, not because of bad booking, but because of injuries.
Right. It's not like the TNT title where it's bad booking. This is just series of unfortunate events. Kind of like a women's tag title type of thing. It's just like series of unfortunate events.
I mean, the match didn't even last. The match was like about 5 minutes.
I was like watching, like, here we go, what's gonna, and we're over. And
you could tell. Like you could tell Fenix was out there. It was hurt. It's like you could tell he was fighting through some pain, man.
Yeah, like as soon as the match, I'm like, Fenix is off.
So hopefully both he and Moxley will heal up and be back in the ring soon. It'll be very interesting to see how long Orange is going to keep the title for the second time. We'll see what happens. But then we got one of my favorite things, and then one of the things that frustrated me. One of the best things about the show. Timeless Toni Storm, once again, is killing it. This whole Lover's Lament thing, which is basically like her own little like mini silent movie. Very, very outside the box thinking, very, very funny. But they put it in the picture-in-picture.
I was wondering, I was like, I get it, but then I don't, because I'm like,
thank God they tweeted out the first part on Twitter in its entirety so you could actually get a better idea of what she was doing, because I could barely see what she was doing because it was picture in picture. I was like, there's a brilliant thing, and then I'm like, what the F, guys, come on, don't put that in the picture in picture. This whole time with Toni Storm's character is like gold, man. She's killing it.
I mean, this is her first actual character work, because as far as I know, with Toni Storm, it's just like, hey, it's Toni Storm, she's cool. That's been her character.
Yeah, no, she hasn't really, outside of just like, hey, I'm Toni Storm, she hasn't really had like a character before this. And I don't know who came up with it. It was Tony or Tony Khan, or both of them cooked this up together, but this is working, man, and the fans love it. And it's like it's her, she's all in, and she's killing it. So
all pun intended, right?
Yeah, literally. Then we had you talk about a squash. This was a squash. Wardlow destroys Matt Sydal in less than a minute with just nothing but power bombs.
Yeah.
It's like this is definitely another guy that Tony could potentially lose to WWE at a certain point if he doesn't do well by him, because he was red hot. They booked him so well, and he was like red hot when he first won the TNT Championship, which I got to saw because it happened here in Rochester, New York, when Wardlow won it for the first time. When he destroyed, I think it was Scorpio Sky. Yeah. but it's like that whole Samoa Joe feud and stuff, and it's like him being off TV really did not help. So we'll see where this is going. Hopefully good things. We'll see. Interesting little bit where Daniel Garcia went to check on Jericho after his match, and Daddy Magic yelled at him about that, saying, that, we're done with Jericho. What are you doing? This is definitely leading to something because Garcia has been really concerned about Jericho lately, and the rest of the former JAS is not too pleased about that. So we're going to see where that's going to lead to. Then we had another great match, Hangman Page versus Switchblade Jay White with Bullet Club Gold, man. It's like they're just so over the top. It's fun. I love their entrance. I don't know what the tricycles are supposed to represent, but I was
laughing I was just smiling and shaking my head and be like, all right, cool.
And of course, Cardblade is like the official fifth member, the cardboard cutout of Jay White. So, I love what they do with that. Jay still got the AEW title belt, which he stole from MJF last week. They had a great match. And then, Prince Nana came out and distracted Cole because he tried to attack Hangman, and that allowed Jay White to do the most devastating move in all sports and entertainment, as the great Simon Miller likes to say, the surprise roll-up with a handful of tights to beat Hangman Page. They both cost each other matches, so this feud between Hangman and Swerve is heated up pretty quickly on this episode of Dynamite. This was a really great TV match. Good stuff. MJF came out after the match was over and was like, give me my effing title belt back. This led to a very interesting promo. This started out really good, and then it got into something that has caused a lot of controversy I'm going to get to that in a second. But I did like this back and forth between him and Jay White, especially with MJF talking about how he could actually he likes what he sees in the mirror now when he wakes up in the morning instead of they used to smash it back when he was the Uber heel. That was a really cool reference to how he's his relationship with Adam Cole has changed him, and that he likes being the good guy now. He likes who he is as a person now, that he's better, and that he basically is like, I used to be just like you, Jay White. You're basically like I was like a year ago. And he goes, warning the rest of the Bullet Club Gold that Jay will discard them and use them at the earliest opportunity, because that was his MO, which is true. Look what he did to people like Wardlow and the Pinnacle, man, back in the day. So and then he basically, Jay White was like, okay, you can get the title belt back. If you can find 3 people who will tolerate you long enough to team with you, take the 4 of us on in an 8-man tag, and then maybe you might get the title belt back before the pay-per-view. And then Juice Robinson cut this promo where he talked about how the diamond ring thing is coming up again. They're gonna have the battle royal, and then the winner gets to face MJF for the diamond ring. And he said about how he's gonna win it. And then he basically threatened to take MJ out with a roll of quarters, and he pulled out a roll of quarters with MJF's last name on them. Now, for those of you who do not know, a while back, MJF cut a promo where he brought some real life stuff into it that he has made clear is like he's not making up. It really happened. When he was a kid in school, anti-Semite bullies used roll of quarters as weapons to hurt him. So Juice Robinson has used quarters in the past as a weapon, but the fact that he specifically brought this up to use against MJF, which made MJF snap and said, I will effing kill you, because of what, how this is well known among, the wrestling circle about that whole thing. A lot of people were felt that this crossed a line because, him invoking something that happened to him in real life that is as a result of Jew hate, anti-Semitism, especially with what's going on over in the Middle East right now. with Israel under attack, and it's like the Jews being killed in the streets. People felt this was in poor taste, but wrestling has been no stranger to poor taste angles. So I
you
get
name
that.
it, it's been done. And everyone's like,
But
wouldn't have done
here's
that.
the thing. MJF made it clear that he's okay with this. He obviously approved this, or else this wouldn't have been on the show.
No.
Because he wants to bring awareness to this kind of stuff. Hate, anti-Semitism and stuff like that. Which I applaud him for. It's like I didn't realize what the implications were until a friend of mine that I have a group chat with, friends of mine who we're all wrestling fans. We have a little group chat on Facebook to talk about wrestling, and one of them brought him up, and I was just like, oh God, that's right. I completely forgot about that promo. So I understand people feeling uncomfortable about that whole part of the segment. I get that, but if NGF's okay with it, it's like that's what matters. So it's just the timing. Like, it's
Yeah.
If what was going on with Israel being under attack right now, this probably wouldn't have made people would have been like, oh, like, oh, that's we know what that reference is to, instead of like, maybe you shouldn't have gone there.
Right.
It feels I'm a little comfortable with that. So I totally get that. So before we get to finish, how did you feel about this whole thing here?
The thing was, I basically, as soon as I saw that, everyone online was like, I would have done that. I wouldn't have done that. Like, everyone was saying, was like, it's not, I wouldn't have done that. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I immediately just messaged you. I'm like, all right, full hand up. Don't know what the heck this is about. And I'm just like showing I was like, full ignorance here. What's
and I
going
explained to you about, that what he said in the promo. It was like, It was like a good year and a half or 2 years ago they cut that promo.
Right. And then but then you're like, and it also has some Jew.
It was during the feud with CM Punk. I think it was during the feud with CM Punk that he did that in a promo.
Yeah.
So it was a year and a half ago that he brought this up.
Okay. Well, basically, if MJ, I'm pretty sure they either somehow or another it got brought up. If MJF signs off on it, it's like, would I have done it? Read the room type of thing, sure. But the things that Max has done, and especially what stuff with Christian is doing right now, it's just like they just go for it. And I wouldn't have done it because you can easily still build this match without doing that, especially with what's going on overseas. But it's wrestling, and I'm just like, yeah. I mean, Vince McMahon couldn't never read the room, so
yeah. I honestly, MJF may be okay with it, but I still feel like it was not good timing.
No,
with what's going on.
Like I said, I wouldn't have at the end of the day done it, but it's, I mean, like I said, it's just bad timing, read the room type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not like people are like, oh, I'm never going to watch AEW again.
No, it was just people were just like, that was in bad taste.
Yeah, that was like a poor form, Peter. Poor form. Yeah. So on that. So yeah, no, because I'm like, it makes sense as far as that storyline, but in the grand scheme of things, just a bad call.
Yeah.
On that.
I agree.
Easily
they shouldn't anyway. even with MJF being okaying it, I don't think they should have done it.
Yeah. So it's the even though MJF was okay with it, it's the court of civil discourse or whatever you want to call it, that you probably aren't going to win that, which,
So anyway, next up, we had AEW Women's Title match, Saraya defending against Hikaru Shida.
Was
a decent match
with that. I'm sorry to interrupt. Before we touch on that, where are we at with the Devil Mask people that attacked Jay White? That it happened, and then we haven't talked about it in like 2 weeks. And we figured there would be something on
I have a thing about that because of a backstage segment that let's see, was it? Yeah, it happens after this match.
Okay.
With the Acclaimed. I'll get to that. You brought up a good point. I have a theory. So they went back and forth. Ruby was banned from ringside, but she came out disguised to try to interfere anyway and got caught. Timeless Tony Stark came out, tapped her with her shoe, baby.
Yeah. Who throws a shoe? Tony Storm does, mother trucker.
So Tony beat Ruby away with her shoe. I didn't know. I was, as soon as Sheeta kicked out of Saraya's patented finisher, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, I see where this is going. And Hikaru Shida defeats Saraya and becomes the first ever 3-time AEW Women's Champion. We kind of talked about, it's like it was kind of obvious that Saraya winning at Wembley for All In was done because it was in front of it was in front of her backyard, in front of her family and everything. Mm-hmm. Give her that big moment. But a lot of people, including us, wondered, like, well, how long is she going to have the title?
Yeah,
not very long, because it's only about like 2 months. Sheeta has won it back again. This match was only 12 minutes too. On top of that, this is part of the look. First, I'll say I'm happy. They worked hard. Thought it was a fine match. Wasn't like a mind-blowing good match. It was a solid match. And I love Hikaru Shida, and I'm happy for her that she's the champion. I didn't think she should have lost the belt at Wembley in the first place. Anyway, I get why they did that. So this feels more like, okay, we had Saraya have her moment. We're giving the title back to you. But this highlights once again one of the problems that AEW has is how it treats its women's division. And we were talking about like comparison to what WWE does, because it's like outside of the title belts, you don't hardly ever see any of the other women on the program outside of like the occasional tag match on Rampage or something. And there's no other feuds going on. There like WWE is having feuds and angles for the women that don't revolve around the three around the title belts right now, which is a good thing. Like the stuff like stuff with Tegan and Natty, and stuff that's going on at NXT. It's like they have feuds going on that are not involved the title. Like Roxanne's got Kiana James gunning for her right now, and it has nothing to do with the NXT Women's title. It's like that's a whole angle going on right now. So, but it's like, and then they don't give. It's like this was the only match. This was the only women's match on the show. And so like where you compared to like you got like other shows where like you can get maybe like more than one. So it's kind of frustrating. So it feels like the women's title has been hot potatoed because of this. So now the question is, well, how long is she gonna have it? It's like because Thunder Rosa and Jamie Hayter are still out injured. They're working on trying to get back at some point. I know Thunder Rosa is working on trying to get back in the ring from her back injury last year. It's been over a year now. She's been out. It's like we see with Randy Orton back in. It's like your back gets really effed up. It's like it's not easy to recover from. Hayter probably won't see again until the new year. So they've lost some of their they've lost some of their star power. Between those injuries and then Jade leaving, it's like the outside of Britt Baker, the big names you got are it's like Saraya, Shida, and Statlander. As far as like the people that the fans are really invested in. So.
And as soon as Julia Hart looked like she can be really going to be involved, she unfortunately had to get married and go on a honeymoon. Right, yeah. Right as she got right after that match, and I'm like, and then they're trying to make Sky Blue happen. It's just, I can't buy her. I just can't.
I like Sky Blue, but I don't see her as like main event talent yet. She's not there yet. She's talented, but I don't think she's not ready for the big time yet.
No.
So this was just like it was like it's like and plus the way they treated the Tony stuff with it's like. You got something really cool with Timeless Tony Storm, and you put the thing that she's doing into the picture-in-picture instead of letting us actually see it. You know, it's like so it's really frustrating. So
the most entertaining stuff as far as what the women are doing in AEW is what I can still call her Ember Moon and Billy are doing with her like minions and stuff like that. Like over.
Oh yeah, and that's on ROH. It's like, and that's behind the paywall.
Right, it's like, behind a paywall, but that's like my favorite women's thing that AEW has going, and it's on a ROH. Is that so?
Happy Sheeta won. It's just a symptom of the ongoing issues with the women.
And the fact that she won with a roll up too, I was like, man.
Yeah. So, well, it's like we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
So before the main event, we had a segment where Renee was talking to MJF in the back. MJF was able to get Cole on the phone for a brief period before they lost the connection, trying to get him to come back and help. And then the Acclaim rolled up with Max Caster offering for the Acclaim to assist him with his issues with Bullet Club Gold. MJF walked away not happy because it looks like he's not happy with Max Caster's stalkerish behavior, both on screen and on social media, which led to Billy Gunn going, dude, what's your obsession with this Yahoo? I love how it's like, and then he's he's pretty sus, dude.
yeah, he's pretty sus, dude. I was like, all right, that was pretty good line.
Max saying like Caster going like they go back, you know, they were friends, and it's like, and then, but also I like it when he plays hard to get, and then they're like, and then just Billy and Bowen just roll their eyes, you know, it's like okay, whatever.
Well, it was more Billy, like, because he was like, he's playing hard to get, and then Billy kind of looks at Bowens, and Bowens is like, It's like the reactions were good.
Yeah.
Entertaining backstage segment.
So sure. It looks like, you know, he didn't say yes. MJF has the Acclaimed are willing to help him out against Bullet Club Gold. So I think that's probably going to happen. That's in on one of the shows coming up soon. And so my theory is, we were trying, because people have been speculating, who are the masked men that attacked Jay White, and one of them using the devil mask, which MJF said was stolen from his locker room. It was 3 people. What if it was the Acclaimed?
I mean, I'm still saying it was Adam Cole was in the devil mask, and it was the Kingdom with.
That's the other thing.
I mean, but that's like the most like no duh, because
they were more likely it was the Kingdom trying to make MJF look bad,
right?
Because Roderick Strong is faking the whole neck stuff, obviously.
Right, but was that done the night that Adam Cole hurt his ankle?
The attack on Jay White happened the week after.
Okay, because I was about to say
because he was out there announcing that, you know, he had to get surgery and he was going to be out for a while, and that's when Strong was like, Adam, I need you, come help me, you know, and which has led to him being stuck at Roddy's house for the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. I was like wondering how, because if that happened the same night that Adam unfortunately broke his ankle, then I'm like, oh, that was probably what they were going with, and then
that happened the week after he got hurt.
Okay.
So. That's just a wild theory. I could be totally wrong. It's more likely it's Strong in the Kingdom, but
right.
You know,
and before we get to our main event, I did see something that says the three wrestlers that had to retire from the WWE for medical reasons are now all 3 in AEW with Edge, Bryan Danielson, and Saraya.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
Christian too.
Yeah, technically Christian, but he never actually retired.
Yeah.
You know, but they didn't have like a segment or anything that says, you know, thank you guys.
Yeah, they didn't have a go away thing. All right. Then we got, all right, because we got to get to NXT. All right, so we had our main event, Luchasaurus versus the Rated R Superstar Adam Copeland. Christian cut a promo beforehand.
Awesome promo.
Awesome promo dissing Adam about getting back to him, saying that he didn't take some ragtag group of guys dressed up like it's Halloween and try to convince them they're tough guys. Obviously, right. Saying Judgment Day without saying their names. And then, you know, he's like, the problem was you tried to be their leader and mentor. I am a father. And he goes, and I'm going to be a father to your family when I take care of you. And then it was like, say like, don't worry, Beth, I'm going to take care of you and the kids after I get rid of Adam. It's like, it was just it's great heel stuff. It's like, so this was a good match. Lots of action here. Great moment at the end where Nick distracts the ref. Christian tries to run in, but Adam gets his hands on the TNT title belt and hits Luchasaurus with it. And it makes it look like Christian did it instead. And Luchasaurus is like, oh, like, what are you doing? And Christian's like, it wasn't me. I didn't hit you. And then when he turns and he's trying to warn him, but he turns around and gets speared to give Adam the victory. Really good match. Afterwards, Team Christian attacks, which leads to Bryan Danielson coming out to help. He gets beaten down, and then the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club come out to assist as well. And then and then other people show up, and it turned into like a classic like Attitude Era. We're desperate out of time. Schmaz to end the show. So overall, Dynamite was a pretty good show. Lots of angle movement, two really good matches. The Swerve Danielson being the highlight, of course. But the main event was pretty solid too. So thumbs up for Tuesday Night Dynamite.
Awesome. Well, let's run through NXT real quick because we're on a time crunch here.
Yeah, I know.
So basically, this is, like I said, my review real quick on NXT. Love the Bronson Breaker. Carmelo, they're going to be great anyway. That's the best choke slam I've ever seen someone take. From Braun Breaker. The highlights, obviously Roxanne's still awesome.
Yes.
She needs to wrestle forever.
She made a good showing against Asuka. She lost, but she got to look really good.
I wasn't expecting her to win. That'd be cool if she did, but it makes no sense for her to win at this point.
Cool thing that happened during the match was Shotzi came out, was on commentary. She announced that she will be hosting Halloween Havoc once again, just like she did before. But she will also have Scarlett with her as her co-host.
Interesting.
Kiana James attacked Roxanne afterwards, but Shotzi helped her out. Cody opened the show. His big announcement, he had a couple announcements. Number one, men's breakout tournament is going to be coming back. Number two, appropriately, he announced the return of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. The winners of those tournaments will get title shots for their respective titles. And also that Shawn Michaels gave him the power of the general manager for the evening, so he got to book matches. And he booked Ilya Dragunov against Dominic Mysterio for the NXT title, with LA Knight, as a special guest referee, which the fans love. Very interesting segment that just has far-reaching implications. There's this NXT Underground account that films behind-the-scenes stuff to further angles. And they caught Paul Heyman having a chat with Ava, who, if you don't know, is the daughter of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's like, oh, if Heyman's recruiting her into Judgment Day,
you mean Bloodline?
To get The Rock's attention.
You mean the Bloodline?
Yeah, the Bloodline. So that could have some very far-reaching implications, depending on where that's going to lead. So that was a very interesting little segment.
Yeah. She's extremely green right now, but sure, we'll that's just interesting.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so then we had, Cody also set up a thing. He was talking with Tony D'Angelo and Stax, and set up a battle royal next week with tag teams. Be a traditional battle royal until it gets down to the last two teams, which will go on a one-on-one match. The winners will get a tag team title shot against the family at Halloween Havoc. Then also he set up a number one contenders match for the NXT title because a lot of people want their hands on Ilya Dragunov. Not just Baron Corbin, but also DJ wants a crack at the title too. So Cody told Baron Corbin that next week would be a triple threat number one contender match. The winner would face Ilya at Halloween Havoc between Baron Corbin, DJ, and the winner of Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker in the main event. So then there was an NXT Women's Breakout Tournament match. Let's see who won that match real quick here. This is very interesting. These young women here. We'll see where this goes. No one stood out for me yet. So on the tournament yet, as like, oh, I think she's gonna go far. Like with Roxanne and Tiffany last year, who were the in the finals, and look where they are right now. So we'll see. Then we had a very surprising and fantastic pre-recorded promo from Brian Pillman Jr., where Brian Pillman Jr. explained, for those who didn't know who he was, that, he's the son of Brian Pillman, and saying that, everyone always associates him with his dad. He wants to get out of his dad's shadow. He didn't know his father because he died when he was only 4 years old. And so it was a great heel promo, shedding his name and explaining why he's not going to be wrestling as Brian Pillman Jr. and why he's changing his name. Absolutely fantastic intro for Brian Pillman Jr. Obviously, the way they set this up, they obviously are high on him, and god damn did he look like his father.
When they kind of like flashed, like he had it like his head nodded, and
the way he's got his hair and everything, he looks so much like his father.
And then they would like flash his father's face over his face, and it was just like, yeah, you can't tell. And then he would but like the reason they like, you're like, why did he switch his name? And the name was kind of odd at first. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, it's a terrible name, but
now
the promo sense. Now makes it, you understand why he's doing the AJ. It's a good in-character reason. He wants to get out of his father's shadow. It's like he wants to succeed on his own. He doesn't want to be known as the son of Brian Pillman. So, money promo. Mwah.
Yeah. The only thing I will say though is that is such a wrestler's beard, because if you see all this, I was like, no other person would have that type of beard unless you were a professional wrestler. It was just like, it made sense, but it also was like, what the frick is that kind of cut? But whatever. That's a wrestler's beard trim. That's for sure. But yes, dude, that was such a great vignette.
Brawling Brutes defeated Gals in a 6-man pub street fight match. Lots of fun. Some really cool spots. Babyface emerged victorious, and Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland said that Tyler Bate is now an official member of the Brawling Brutes, which is awesome. Then we got to our another thing. They talked with they did a great promo hyping Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch at Halloween Havoc Night 1, showing that their parallel history. They're both from Ireland, and everything, and showing that from a couple years ago, Becky training Lyra and taking her under her wing. So they've known each other for quite a while. They it's like she's helped train her and mentor her, and this was a great thing to do to build toward their match. Is obviously, it's like, I'm excited because, like I said, I've become a fan of Lyra. I think she's really cool, and she's got like really great potential. So they cut to a backstage segment where talking with her after the promo, and Tegan Knox showed up and was like, I almost beat Becky. I was this close. I should get another shot ahead of you. And Lyra's like, excuse me? So apparently this is leading to Tegan Knox versus Lyra at next week's NXT show. That's going to be a hell of a match. So it's like Tegan's still getting featured here. So cool. Then we had the big main event. Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker with John Cena in Melo's corner and Paul Heyman in Braun Breaker. Heyman did a great job of hyping up Braun Breaker, man. His intro for Braun Breaker coming out.
Braun.
That's why you have Heyman.
Braun. I was like, yeah, he did the thing.
Yeah, he did. I could totally see Heyman being his manager when he's on the main roster.
It makes total sense. I was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
I think that I would be shocked if it didn't happen because of the way that because he obviously is very high on Braun. It's like he wasn't just doing it just because Cena's involvement because Roman told him to, and obviously what part of the other reason he was down there was because of Ava, as we saw with that from that video earlier in the show. So there was more than one reason why he was down there. But he was definitely like singing Braun's praises. So thought that was cool. These two have great chemistry, Mel and Braun. They had great matches before. This was no exception. Back and forth. Solo Sikoa arrived out of nowhere to try to help Breaker out. But Cena took care of him. And Carmelo got the victory. So Carmelo is going to be in a triple threat match with Baron Corbin and D-Jack next week to see who gets the next crack at Ilya Dragunov for the NXT title. Braun was not, of course, happy about losing. He speared Carmelo and started talking trash and how he was the baddest man around.
Right.
Well, a certain someone took exception to that because The Undertaker, in American Badass form, arrived on a motorbike into the NXT arena. Fans went absolutely nuts, of course. As Undertaker got in the ring and was like, Braun, you got a lot of potential to be a star and be a big dog, but not today. And then chokeslammed his ass.
Right.
End the show. And then he helped Carmelo up, and he and Carmelo got to pose together to end the show. So
fun show.
It was a fun show. What I liked about this is that even though they loaded up with all these guest appearances from the main roster, from Cody and LA Knight, it's like even bringing in Undertaker, the focus was still on the NXT talent.
Yeah.
Like Cody was there to do the announcements and play a little GM, interact with people. But they did not wrestle. None of the main roster stars were there to wrestle. Like Cena was basically like watching Melo's back, which was cool. And it's like, it wasn't like he was tag teaming with him. So it kept the focus on the NXT stars in the ring. It was just, they were there to help kind of like, boost up the show. So that's one thing I liked about how it was booked. It was a fun show. It's like, I'd say Dynamite would be a little bit better, maybe in the wrestling ring wise, but in storyline advancement, I think NXT had a little bit of the edge, maybe. But it's apples and oranges. They're both really good shows.
They're both really fun shows. I mean, other than the women's divisions are woes, like we say all the time with AEW, but it's and despite the 7-minute Phoenix, that has nothing to do with the fact that it was just poorly booked. It was the fact that Phoenix was hurt, so it is what it is on that. But I mean, friggin' Edge.
Also, Jade Cargill was shown arriving in a video segment talking with HBK. She did not show up inside the arena itself, but like with Fastlane, it was just to remind people, yes, Jade Cargill is here. She's going to be making an impact soon.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like of the two shows, yes, the storytelling and the stars and stuff like that with NXT, that was the highlight there, and the fact that they boosted the talent. It's still kind of weird. I just didn't like the fact that they just loaded up with a bunch of like main people, but I was like worried. They did it okay. It was a good mix. It wasn't it wasn't like I said, like it still kind of reminded me, because that's why I just back in my mind, it reminded me.
They didn't completely overshadow the show, which is what I was worried about.
Right. And so that was fine there, but NXT, as soon as I saw Bryan Danielson versus Swerve, I knew that was going to be the match of the night between both shows.
Oh, absolutely. It was the match of the night period between both shows.
As soon as I saw that, I think I messaged you, like, as I was watching, I was like, damn, Swerve is so freaking good. But the last thing I will, one of the fun things I'll say, and then we'll kind of end it on here. So you can look it up online, but basically, Sean's in his office and Undertaker comes in, and they both he's like, oh, hey, what's going on? And he was like, well, I didn't bring my gear. And Sean was like, you won't need it. He goes, oh, so you saw my last match then? So I thought that was, and Sean just started laughing. He was like, yeah, sure.
Oh, where is that? Is that on the
It's
Twitter?
on Twitter. Where
All right, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I'll find it and send it to you. But yeah, it was just kind of like Sean was like, "Oh, hey," and they kind of hugged, and he was like, "Well, I didn't." He's like, "I was in town." Blah blah blah. He goes, "But I didn't bring my gear," and he was like, "You won't need it." And he goes, "Oh, so you saw my last match?" So that's a pretty little 20-second clip there. But overall, man, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Because you've got two shows that they're trying to put out the best product they can, and not some 50-50 booking makes no sense crap. I know storyline wise for AEW, they're getting better from where they were about 6 months ago. Still not there, but they're making the right steps.
Yes.
On that. And then as far as Raw, that was the most I cared about every little thing that they put on it, and they gave the right time.
It's amazing how like Raw used to be like I'd be hitting like the fast forward button through all the crap. There was so much crap on Raw, and now there's barely any crap on Raw anymore. Yeah. There was some stuff that maybe doesn't always work like 100%, but there's no like, what the F is this doing on my television screen?
Right. So that Raw was a very solid, like every segment worked. I wasn't like, there wasn't any weird 50-50 doopy crap that went on as far as finishes. You see where it's going. It makes sense from week to week. As far as storyline wise, the only flub that was the Sami Zayn messed up with the, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
And I'm excited of like we've got multiple things going rather than, like I said, it's not like, as soon as Buzz and Woody are off, or as soon as Danny get done playing with Buzz and Woody, he doesn't give a crap about the other toys. Like every toy is being played with, and they're highlighted the right way.
You could say, well, technically, WWE won because NXT had the better rating than Dynamite last night, but in actuality, who are the real winners?
Fans.
Us, because the fans are the winners because this competition is making them put on better product. And so it's a win for us as the wrestling fans because we're getting good shit.
Yeah. So, and another thing, like I said before, I know we didn't talk about it, but Ricky Starks and Bill going over FTR on Collision, that's because they're just trying to keep Ricky Starks happy. But I think it's just too much of an uphill climb for AEW to keep Ricky on there. And then they're also saying that FTR might jump back to, but they've been saying that crap out. They just signed their deal.
Dax made it clear that they signed a new deal. They're going to be there for another few years. There's conflicting reports about the title change being a result of Cash being injured. Some people, Delvin Manser said that he's not injured. That it was just done because of for storyline purposes. So who knows? Because it felt like it was done for injury because it was a squash. Like they took out Cash through the announce table, and the next couple of minutes was Dak basically in a handicap match against Ricky and Bill, and they dismantled him and won the titles. So it's like they didn't just lose the titles; they got squashed losing the titles. So it's like this is very unusual for FTR to get.
But that's the AEW situation. Is like we're gonna put on those like really good physical matches, but your guys get injured a lot more than WWE guys does. But I don't know where their matches are going. Whereas WWE, I can kind of be like, okay, here's where this part happens, and this part happens, and then
that's because of the scattershot booking. Sometimes AEW, it's like I can like we can see like kind of like where things are kind of going. Like we're not like 100% sure, but it's like okay, it seems like this A is leaning to B, leaning to C. Whereas sometimes with AEW, it's like, okay, why did they win the title, or is like outside of like injury, or where's this leading to? I don't understand this. It's right. Like, yeah.
And I just blame it on Tony having a lot of things juggling on top of wrestlers being in his ear. A lot of things can factor into it, but it's not like it's not a bad product. It's not like Impact.
No, it's just like that. There needs to be some more cohesion with like the storylines. There needs to be more consistent, like the MJF Cole and Cole stuff has been one of the most consistent storylines they've ever done. And if they can do more storylines like that, it's like that's going to draw more people in.
Yeah. So and that's what WWE is doing across the board. Whereas we just have like one or two with AEW that keeps going. on that. So, but yeah, no, just an excellent week of being a wrestling fan. This was awesome.
It was.
To put it. I mean, just shout out to the Miz. It was awesome. Even though he was not on any show. So, but yeah, he's probably getting his earned time off for a little bit anyway. I mean, Miz just comes on, runs his mouth, puts over somebody, and does his job and leaves, which is fine. So yeah, thank you so much, Justin, for joining me again. Thank you all out there. Obviously,
thank you all for watching.
Obviously, you can like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff as we go on. It might be Thursday next week because, but I will let you all know. But still, Wednesday, we'll still be back to go over all the things that is wrestling. Because, like we said, at the end of every show, the greatest thing about wrestling, it never stops.
Nope.
So we always come in with new stuff, new material, and more opinions coming from you
excited.
At Ruckus Wrestling. So like, subscribe, all that stuff. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/RuckusEV. And as they say, Bobby Burger says, jump on the rocket ship and go with us on this journey. Justin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will see you all next time.
Thank you. Peace.